right. So, we're live. What's going on, everybody? You already know what we're doing. It's the Nooner Nation podcast for Nooners by Nooners. I'm joined tonight by a very special guest, the, what is it, co-host? Tri-host?
Tri-host, maybe.
Tri-host? Jake
Yeah.
Goldman. If you guys know Softcore History, you've seen his face. He looks a bit more well-kempt tonight than usual. Sans mustache.
Yeah.
Florida high school coach visor on tonight.
Yeah, man. I had to clean it up a little bit today. I am notoriously unemployed currently, so I'm on the job hunt, going out to interviews. So
yeah, which is why I thought great time to have you on. I hit you up and said, hey, since you're an unemployed piece of shit living off the government, like you should have nothing better to do.
Yeah, man. The great state of Texas pays my wages, so I'm happy to be here on their dime tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Texas.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, wheelchair, Greg Abbott.
Oh, man.
But you're I think I was actually talking to my wife about this right before we got on. You're originally from Ocala, Florida, correct?
Yeah, I am.
My wife's grandmother and like her family all live in Ocala, Florida.
Yep. Everyone's grandma lives there, dude. Does she live in the Villages?
I don't think so. I've been to her house once, and she kind of lives in an older house that's been added on to like over and over and over again by like, off of some, swampy Florida pond,
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. Trust me, dude.
Which my wife was like, oh yeah, growing up it was like, don't go near the water kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah, there's gators, dude. So I'm originally from Ocala. My whole family's been there for over 100 years. My dad's got a little mom and pop store that's been around since like 1895. It's an appliance store now, but yeah, I grew up there my whole life, Central Florida, and then went to school up in Gainesville. So that's a 20-minute drive from Ocala. So yeah, in the swamp, man. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the road that runs? Because I grew up kind of in the Asheville, North Carolina area.
Yeah.
And then my wife's family, like Ocala, but her dad lived in Tampa until very recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we'd come down like 95, and then there's some highway that runs across the state through Gainesville, and it's like the biggest speed trap I've ever been on in my plant. Like it's like three.
Like is this 301?
Could be.
Yeah, no. So it's funny you mentioned that. There's a town in between that 301 is connected to 441, and God, I can't remember the U.S. number anymore. It's been a while since I've lived there, but it's like 3 different highways that all kind of converge through Gainesville and then split up down there. But 301, there's this town called Waldo. You can look this up. They had the most speed limit changes in a mile stretch.
Yep,
and
that's it.
But like this is a town that has 300 people in it, and their cops were rolling around in like basically Batmobile looking cars, dude. It was insane. They were like, they had to get, I think it's the only time internal affairs has actually done its job. They were like, no, these guys are totally just capping out here right now. It was crazy. They literally let go of every single person because there was an intentional speed trap placed.
Yeah.
Like,
So I would have been 2012, maybe. It's been years ago. It was when we were still living in North Carolina, and my father-in-law was getting remarried in Clearwater, and I was still in school and working like a job and stuff. So after class let out, like my wife loaded up and drove from Asheville to Tampa like overnight. I just remember that highway, like off of Jacksonville. Turn west, and seeing all these signs like people rented out billboards.
Yeah, to warn people about
speed trap ahead.
And 3 billboards outside of Waldo, dude.
Like beware of like Waldo PD is watching you or something. And I was like, what in the world? Next thing you know, it's like, oh, you're doing like 65, and also I was like 55, 45, 25.
Then it shoots up again, then it'll shoot back down.
Yeah.
It's
what
crazy.
What in the world is this? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nuts. And there was also a lot of Tebow billboards, and he'd been out of Gainesville for a couple of years at that point. So.
Yeah, man. It's funny. We do definitely in Central Florida. It's like obviously University of Florida is a big brand as far as sports are concerned, and there's a large alumni network. But when you're there and in the surrounding towns, it still has that kind of like high school football feel, where like instead of like people with signs for their like senior kid in their front yard on the football team, it's like Tim's got a billboard over here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's still the same vibe. It's just a little bit larger in scale.
Right. Yeah. So what took you to Austin?
Yeah. So that story is pretty. It's kind of canvassed around the 2008 housing crisis in a way. Okay. So I was graduating in 2013 in Central Florida. The economy really still hadn't recovered yet. And when I was in college, I worked. I would get beer money basically writing for this website called Total Frat Move. Rob and Dan were both on it. You're my dog. There's some pizza coming.
Nice.
Yeah. So sorry about that. But yeah. So I was one of the first remote writers for that website. I think me and another buddy we were both in the same fraternity writing for them. And then Rob came on a little later as a remote writer and then joined the team really quickly because he was already out of school. But I just wanted to get out of the same 40 square miles I was living in my whole life. I wanted to kind of blaze my own trail, I'm 21, full of just pride. So I'm like, I got to get out here. Yeah. My buddy Joe got a job with TFM right out the gate. He was a lot more involved in kind of working for them on the e-commerce side from college, whereas I was just like kind of doing what do you want to call it? Just like freelance writing. Right. So I just grabbed a job in Austin. It was like at a call center. I think I was making like 125 calls a day for about 3 months, but it was always with the intention to jump on there at Grand X. And yeah, so I worked like 3 months in the call center, and then I got offered the job at TFM to do their customer service in their e-commerce department. So, and yeah, that's kind of like where it all starts with like me, Rob, and Dan for sure. So yeah, man, actually my first interview in Austin, my only interview in Austin, like, cause it's hard to interview in Austin when you live in Gainesville and you have no money. Oh yeah. So my mom buys me a flight out to Austin so I can go interview at this call center. And, I do the first interview and then I hit up Rob. I'm like, hey man, like I'm in town. You want to like go do something? And he's like, yeah, let's go hit up. I don't know if you've ever been here. It's a college bar near campus called Cane and Abel's. He's like, let's go to Cane and Abel's. It's $5 twisted tea night. And I'm thinking like you know what I'm talking about? Like the hard
the one that dude smashed that white kid over the face with in that viral video.
Yes, the gas station. Yeah. No, I'm thinking like, is Rob taking me like a Mike's Hard Lemonade bar special tonight? Yeah. No, it is basically just like a giant mason jar full of Long Island iced tea. And so we slam like a couple of those back. I have a follow-up interview the next day at 9:30 in the morning. We end up running into this like UT football player that was familiar with our content. He's like, I know you. And he's like talking to Rob, and Rob's like, dude, I don't know who this guy is. He's like, no, TFM. He's like, oh, okay. So we end up going out until like, he's a UT football player, so he's allowed to stay in the bar. So we're out until like 4 a.m.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I drank a little mouthwash and used about a half a vial of Visine to make sure I made it through that second interview, but I ended up getting the job. But yeah, man, he got me lit the first night in Austin that I was there. Kid can party.
Yeah, I mean, well, it makes sense because the first night I was ever in Austin, me and Rob got pretty torched at, like, for the Super Bowl, not this past one, the one before that.
Right.
And, I think we ended up after that. They like Drinking Bros had a huge, live show, and after that we all went down to 6. And like I've been to Austin twice now, and literally the only places I've been is Old Dorf Street to the studio,
right? Where the studio is,
and 6th Street. Other than like the Airbnb that I've stayed at, and actually the first time I ever stayed in Austin, I stayed in those. My Airbnb was in those like townhouses behind the studio.
Thank you. Sorry, man. I got a little pizza delivery. Nice. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So you're
Like if you go behind the studio, like if you're facing outwards from the back door, those townhouses to the right beside the like soccer field.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's like the first place I stayed there. Didn't even think anything about it. And then when I came back and I was telling people about it, everybody's like, "Ooh, like you stayed there, like right near the studio."
Yeah, dude, that's a
And
rough.
for like the rest of the week I was there, like Dan Holloway would like walk me back to my Airbnb every night.
What a gentleman.
Yeah,
That's a stand up move because that is not a safe area.
I had no clue. Like, and then somebody was like, the Airbnb was nice for what it was, and
Yeah.
but somebody else was like, "Yeah, we stayed there like last time we were in town." And on the back of the door, like this laminated sheet that was like, "Do not speak to anybody in this complex. Do
Yeah.
not tell them where you're going. Do not tell them when you're going to get back. Like, don't tell them which car is your rental car." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Whatever."
Yeah, that spot. That's an interesting spot too because it's just south of Riverside as well, which is just like the next main big road
Yeah.
north of Old Thorpe. I had a buddy that lived over there, and there's like a couple concert venues over there. But yeah, we were saying it probably, God, it's probably like 5 years ago now or 6. Time flies, but yeah, like every time I'd go over to his place, there'd be the same guy by the apartment gate offering us crack, and it's like,
Yeah.
catch me at 3 a.m, dude. Like maybe you get me on a rough day. I don't know, but you see me all the time.
It was a fun night, but yeah, I definitely got way too wrecked. And then the next day, like the Monday after the Super Bowl, like me, Rob, and then another kind of like drinking bro nooner fan, Bayou Brook, kind of all show up at the studio at the same time, and all of us just looked like we're on death's door, and all three of us just like beelined it into the kitchen, grabbed a drink, like just shotgunning beers, like enough of this, like we're just gonna keep it going.
Just postpone that hangover till later. Yeah, no, man, for sure. I've definitely been there with Rob before. Also, Rob, you mentioned it, probably shows a hangover harder than anyone else in the world. Like it's so easy to tell. I lived with Rob for the first 2 years I was in Austin. It was like me, Rob, and this guy Joe. This is a buddy of mine, and we lived in this apartment that had 2 couches for sitting, a coffee table, and then a dining table with no chairs. And that was it. It was just like my mattress on the floor, the other guy's mattress. It was
like 3 guys living together, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like this is a sleep box, basically. Yeah. Like no
Trash
one we're bringing home here is gonna like want to come back. But it's funny enough though. I actually my now wife moved into the apartment above ours.
Oh, okay.
I knew her from back home. She actually dated one of my fraternity brothers, but like she moved to Austin, was like, I don't know anyone here. Like, do you want to take me out or like, can you show me around? Like, just show me some stuff. I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And we were only friends at that point. And I was like, let me pick you up. Where are you at? And she listed the address. Is like, that's where I live. I was like, where are you? And it's like, oh, you live above me. Like we were like an adult bunk bed, basically. Like the apartment.
You were probably like, oh, that's sweet. And then you started probably panicking, like, oh shit, what has she heard us doing down here?
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. That was a pretty wild spot too. There was a shady ass like coke, ecstasy dealer kind of guy that lived in the next apartment over. And like sometimes I was over. I mean, yeah, I was 23, Rob was 48 at the time. And but yeah, we were all just like in our 20s, just like, well, let's go see what's happening over here.
Living in Austin while it was still weird before it blown up. Speaking of blowing up, the live chat's blowing up over your gold watch. Are you wearing a gold watch? I didn't even notice.
I'm not wearing a gold watch. I have a gold watch.
Maybe they're talking about you on a softcore wearing a gold watch or something.
But. Yeah, it's this old. They did a reissue of these like Timex watches, I guess, like the stretchy, like gaudy on it.
Yeah. So Ross at Drinking Bros was into those, and some milestone for the show he went and bought one. And I do like screen printing as like a side hustle. So I made shirts for the Nooners that was like that watch on the back, and like the digital thing said Nooners. It was
Oh,
last,
no way.
yeah, and it was last summer during the whole like AMC stock boost thing, the
Oh, yeah,
stonks.
yeah.
So it had like nooners and like big digital letters, and underneath it said "Stonk Boy Summer."
Oh, nice, dude.
So
That
yeah,
was the most fun I had during the inside times.
yeah,
That's what I call it. I don't like.
yeah. A year later, the stock market not so much fun.
No, chickens roosting,
Yeah,
something, something.
it all fun.
Consequences. I don't know. Whatever.
So before you
Yeah.
came on, you were talking about something like you thought eugenics could solve a lot of the world's problems. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Oh, yeah, no, dude. That's the thing. I mean, when you're right, you're right, and you just gotta force it. No,
I was just
yeah,
fucking with you.
no, I know, bro.
Oh, I know.
uh,
I was in the cars for some reason that like popped in my head. I was like, that'd be funny. But yeah,
yeah, no, no, all good. As we know, Helen Keller, big eugenics fan,
yeah.
loved.
And apparently, per my last episode I did, I was talking about urban legends and Walt Disney's head being frozen.
Dude, I think that's real.
And somebody like people in the chat were lighting up about how he was real big into eugenics as well.
Oh, he was a big Hitler fan.
I
Like,
knew he was like a Hitler fan and a sympathizer of the party before
yeah,
publicly before it all went crazy, you know. But
sure, and that's something that people don't realize too. Like, I'll get a little history buff here.
mhm.
Like, a lot of people really did before it got nuts. Like, a lot of people did adore fascism for. I mean, the trains run on time, right? Like Mussolini. Like, hey,
Yep.
shit's working, and you got to think about that time period too, when there was so much turmoil economically. It's not crazy for people to get locked into a more intense ideology when they're suffering
Right.
economically.
Oh yeah.
It's what happens. It's a natural human course of events. Obviously, it's a little different now. Like you can be like, hey man, you can still be efficient, and not murder people. That's probably
Oh yeah.
not good. But yeah, no, man, it's interesting though. Like, yeah, Disney. You mentioned that big Hitler fan when it was about you know getting things done quickly and
Oh yeah.
efficiently and took control. But also, there's this fun conspiracy theory that they invented the movie Frozen.
Yeah. To
Yeah, have you heard this?
as
Yeah.
like a kind of like nod and a wink to people like, yeah, he's frozen.
Well, also as a way to bump down all the rumors of his frozen head through SEO marketing. So, like, if you search
Mm.
Disney frozen head, what comes up?
Oh.
Frozen, like just to kind of like get that out of the public dialogue, I guess. Like that's a way to bump it. That's one of the theories I heard. And I always,
We may have said too much already.
yeah. What's
Good
that?
good thing this is live. Good thing this
There's
is
a
live.
mouse here. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so on top of everything, you co-host, tri-host, Softcore History. I love the show. I
Thanks,
had
man.
I had listened. I was thinking about this when I was kind of typing up some notes for this, and I'd listened to a few shows, like on audio, and I really got into it when I was in Austin. I sat in on
Yeah.
one of your episodes, and it was I want to say it was one of yours, but it may have been Rob's because it was the episode about the guy, and not a baseball dude, but the dude who I know the story, the dude who hit the no hitter while on acid.
Oh, yeah. No. So he pitched a no hitter is Doc Ellis. Yeah, that was my episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love Doc Ellis, Pittsburgh Pirate. Like the story, everyone like kind of poo poos on it because they're like, you can't prove he was on LSD. It's like, man, no one can prove anyone's on LSD, but everyone said he's throwing errant pitches and like throwing it into the stands on accident. He wasn't like throwing well. He was just
right,
throwing perfect from a
right,
technical point of view.
right.
But yeah, no, man, I love getting into that kind of stuff, like counterculture, cults,
Yeah,
uh, almost just kind of like bizarre history in a way. I think we all do, really. There's so much that's just not talked about. If you follow basic history curriculum, you're going to learn a lot, but you're going to miss a lot too. There's a lot of just weird stories that are out there, and that's kind of
oh
where
yeah,
we come in.
oh yeah, yeah, and you know what? Even if the guy wasn't on LSD, like who cares? It's a fun story,
Right.
you know. Like I think he
Yeah.
probably was. I don't see any benefit of him making that up.
Right. Exactly. It's like, why would he lie
if he was really worried about it? Like, if you just pitched a no-hitter, you wouldn't be like, yeah, I was on LSD the whole time. You'd be like, yeah, I just pitched a no-hitter. Like, what do you want? You know?
Exactly. You wouldn't. It's already quite the accomplishment. You don't need to bolster it with being on acid. One, I think it's funny that on a lineup, his name would be Ellis D, which is hilarious to me. But also, yeah, man, he claimed that he did an interview on it. I don't think they have footage of it for like. I think they got rid of the footage of it, but like from what I've heard, he was just chucking it at like people between first and home, like on accident.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like it'd be like you nailing a job interview, and they'd be like, "Well, you got the job." You're like, "Well, that's awesome. I've been on ecstasy this entire time."
Right.
Why would you say that? Like, what the fuck? You know,
like
so how did the show get started? I know you guys have brushed on it on the show before, but for people that maybe are listening to this show that don't know you guys, like how did it start?
So I mean, I can take it back a little bit too, just to give a little bit more context of like me, Dan, and Rob's working relationship. So we all worked at Grand X, and they started dabbling in the idea of podcasts, but no one wanted to jump on it. So like Rob hit me up. He's like, "Yo, man, you want to do the first TFM podcast with me and this other guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So me and Rob and this one other dude were doing it for a while, and then this guy dropped out, and like Dan started jumping on, and there was just quickly like a really good dynamic there. And then we were doing really well. We had probably like for like early adopter of podcasts, we had about like 10,000 listens a week. We were doing pretty well. Like for a medium that wasn't really being explored that much, I think it was like 2015, 16. I mean, like Joe Rogan was there, and there were some other big players for sure, like Serial.
Sure, you had like Rogan, you probably had YMH, and those people. But
yeah, exactly. But Rob ended up getting let go, and like Dan had previously been let go. It's weird how this comes out. Like, so Dan got let go, and someone else we were alternating two guys, and then Rob got let go, and they brought Dan back to Grand X. So I was still there the whole time. So we brought Dan back on the show. But yeah, me and Dan and Rob have always just had a good working relationship with like, not just working. I shouldn't say that either. They're two of my really good friends, but we have good rapport, I guess you would call it. Just like we're able to work with each other really well, and our personalities are pretty different. I mean,
the two of them got into a little lovers spat today on Ross Patterson Revolution. It was funny. It was hilarious.
They do it for sure, and depending on the two you pick out, there will be an argument. Like, it's
I think the two of them obviously know what they're doing. I think they were playing it up a bit, but it was funny for sure. I think Dan will too. He'll lean into
Rob
was giving Dan shit about like how he should, instead of just like fucking around with cryptocurrency, like invest in a down payment on a house like an adult. And then Dan was saying like, yeah, Rob's such an adult because he'll go get fucked up on ranch waters while his wife's putting his kid at home. Like put his kid down to bed at home. So yeah,
I mean they're both.
Speaking of ranch waters, I picked these up in hopes of having you on the show. So
yeah, man, I see multiple cans of those get put down by Rob every night. Not every night, every time we do a show. But yeah, man. So we were just kind of all vibing, and once we had all at a certain point or another, we all exited Grand X for one reason or another. Rob got let go, I got laid off, Dan got fired twice. Like it was all just, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing about content-led e-commerce, right? It's you gotta. There's so many variables. Like, I mean, we had an issue with inventory where that was a hole we could never dig out of.
Yep.
And that's, e-commerce funding the content side, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I could get into. I won't bore you.
Yeah, the inventory stuff, actually, Rob's been on the show before, and he kind of credits TFM's downfall to being a little overconfident on their inventory spend and things like that. So
I never signed an NDA, so I can talk about it for a minute if you're interested.
Sure,
but yeah, I was the director of fulfillment at the time where the issue started. So I was handling like the outbound fulfillment of all. We had a wholesale arm too,
Right.
where we were on like, anyone from like, like a mom and pop surf shop to dealer.
So were
And
you guys printing like in house then?
no, we weren't printing in house. We were sourcing overseas. Some of it was Nicaragua, some of it was Asia.
Right.
But there's a longshoreman strike in 2015 in California that backed up. I mean, it was costing I think it was like hundreds of millions of dollars a day in lost revenue, and we were a victim of that. Basically, we had a whole season's worth of wholesale orders sitting on a ship. So we couldn't. And then as you get further into this, I mean, I want to say this lasted like a month or two, maybe. Right. I don't know that it's been a while, but like, yeah, man,
But by the time you got those tank tops, it was like November and nobody wanted
it. It was November, but it was like, we're not paying you for that. There's a drop dead date on wholesalers. There's like a cancel date where they have no obligation to pay you anymore.
Right.
So all that you get those orders in late fall to get produced in spring launch time, and you've sunk that money into it. And then you have all these cancellations, so now you're just long on everything. You have to try and find a way to sell it through direct to customer.
Right.
It's a nightmare. It's a huge logistical nightmare. You don't get to highlight the things you want to anymore because you're so focused on getting rid of this dead inventory. Because inventory that sits bleeds money, right? Yep. You get it. And I know your background is a little bit of your background in screen printing and e-com and stuff like that. So it's the biggest bane to anyone having something sit on a shelf.
Yep.
So yeah, I honestly think that was the biggest kind of slash in the ankle. And then there was just other things too.
Right.
There's
So here's what it is. So you guys quickly approaching your 100th episode, which is pretty exciting. Like,
what episode are you even on? I don't even know, man.
I looked it up. I think 92.
Shit, that's crazy.
On YouTube, you guys have also since launched a Patreon. That seems you guys have some real fun content on there.
Yeah, we do. And yeah, it's really nuts to even hear that out loud that we're approaching 92 or we're approaching 100 like that. So to answer your question originally, how it all started, after we all left Grand X, we still wanted to do creative stuff together. So first we started on a little comedy album. I don't know if Rob mentioned that. There's a comedy album with me, Rob, and Dan on it.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I can't remember if you mentioned it on the show or not, or if I've just heard you guys talking about it. But yeah, go on.
I don't ask anyone to go look for it. We recorded. It's called Spare Bedroom. We recorded it in the spare bedroom. It's pretty shoddy, but there's some funny stuff on it if you're interested. But I wouldn't be. And then we started a college football podcast for a little bit. We realized that it was saturated market on earth. That's not what we're trying to do. And we realized during all of this stuff, we were just talking about and arguing about history the entire time. Like anytime we weren't recording, we were talking about just weird shit we've learned and arguing about like a war, like a Punic War or something like that, And it's like, why aren't we talking about the things we like talking about when we're not recording? And so that's kind of, Dan came up with the idea. He was like, why don't we just do this?
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, it really was. We kind of had the equipment already. We recorded it in Rob's closet at the time. So yeah, it was 3 dudes sitting in a walk-in closet because it had a good acoustic backdrop, I guess. And we were just recording about, I think the first episode was William Walker, Dan's topic. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know about him, go to our first episode and check it out, man. And he was the president of Lower Baja California and Nicaragua for a while.
Yeah, I think you guys recently revisited him on your Patreon as well.
Yeah, no, we did revisit him on the Patreon because Dan wanted to give it a little bit more juice and justice than when we were first trying to just get episodes in. But yeah, we actually, my favorite thing we do on the Patreon is we do a game show with Coop and Joel from Kind Blast, where me and Rob face off versus Coop and Joel in a trivia contest on history.
Yep.
And Dan hosts it, and he tips the scale for Coop and Joel the entire time. So everything's much harder for us. And I will go to my grave saying we lost. I don't want to give away too much, but we're 1-1 right now. I won't tell you which episode you're interested in getting on the Patreon, but the one we lost was bullshit. I would go my saying that. Those guys are great. I love Cuban Joel.
Yeah, the most recent one I was watching at my desk and was literally just like crying, laughing because of just how ridiculous Dan was making the entire thing.
There were questions that like afterwards, like, yeah, I admit there wasn't an actual answer for that.
Like it's very open-ended to answer. Like, what are you talking? Like, yeah.
Yeah. One of the questions was which two states don't have an NCAA team? And it's like, what do you mean D1? He's like, NCAA team, like, basketball, football, like tell us. And I was like, what is it? He's like, I
don't fucking know. I'm just reading off this thing.
He hit the well, dude. He didn't expect. To be fair, me and Rob sucked it up for a while on that one. We got overcocked, careless.
So in the live chat, Davey's asking, which fraternity house were you in?
I was in Phi Kappa Tau at the University of Florida. Phi Tau. We were, if you're familiar with it, from UF. It was behind the ATO house and right by the Phi Delta house.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he went to, if I remember correctly, earlier in one of the Drinking Bros shows, he was talking about fraternities with Bob. I think he went to South Dakota State, or not South Dakota State, San Diego State. I saw SDSU. I was like,
Aztecs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the one thing you can also get us arguing about constantly, us three, is probably college football.
Well, I was going to say, you guys did a college football podcast and transitioned into history.
Yeah.
But the college football bleeds into the history show occasionally, I've noticed, yeah.
Around fall, especially, we try not to do it, but we just can't help ourselves because we're just gluttons for that content. I mean, I have 2 subscriptions to recruiting services, like for message boards. And like I read teams I don't even care about's message boards. Like I love college football from recruiting to gameplay and like organization and stuff. So I actually, if you were listening to the national championship game between Georgia and Alabama, I popped in there a couple times. I was there for the live show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like they were like, yo, come on over. So anytime those guys are willing to give me a shout and invite, because like my working capacity is a little different than everyone else's for their employment at Tetherball, right? Like
right.
I work separate. I manage the podcast and stuff, but yeah, no, it's a really welcoming group of people. I love going over there. I've never had like a negative experience with anybody at the studio. Everyone's so welcoming. And I feel like a lot of people, I'm sure, like, obviously this is a podcast full of fans, like you guys get it.
Oh, yeah.
When you experience it in person, it's just, you know, some of the topics that people talk about on the different shows, they're intense, and like the debate can be really intense and stuff like that. But I think every single person there is just, it's full of kind people, really. They're genuinely good, hard folks. So
yeah. I mean, even their political stances, like they're not dicks to other people about them at all.
No,
you know,
no,
and they don't care. You know,
Dan jokes about how I'm like the liberal cuck of the podcast. I'm pretty independent, but you know, Dan just likes to rid me. But yeah, no, I mean, like I can have an honest, earnest conversation with these guys. It's not just non-starter bullshit, you know, where it's like, oh, ban all guns, or you know.
Yeah, they had a show about that today, about like, you know, even Dan Holloway, who, I mean, you met him. That guy's got at least one gun on him constantly.
Yeah.
You know, he was harping on the do not infringe people. Like, what are you talking about? You know, you can have nuanced conversations with other people. So,
well, that's something too. Yeah, I mean, as much as people love to just make like single issue things so black and white. I mean, single issue voting in and of itself is a very reductive way of looking at how government should work or anything like that. You know, a little background too. I was a political science major, so like I've worked political campaigns and stuff like that. I was on the Romney campaign in 2012, but you know, like it's not. You're gonna cherry pick some stuff from different ethoses, right? Like you have to make your own decisions for yourself and take in as much information as possible. We were actually talking about this just on Instagram chat the other day about like how academia inherently isn't bad or flawed, but it's like the self-preservation of academia as an elite kind of thing is where the flaw is, right? Like,
yeah, we can go all day about like
Yeah.
I mean, politics has become a team sport, and that's all. Like you said, it's the people promoting it. They're doing it for their own self-preservation.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, totally. It's all about just power play and stuff like that. It's like I don't have time for it. I'm trying to have like these conversations with people and talk about.
Honestly, I'm just trying to like. I've got 2 kids. I'm trying to move into a new fucking house. You know,
Oh yeah.
I'm just trying to I'm just trying to like live my life and do what I want to fucking do without like people being like, "Oh, you're a gun owner? Like, how's it feel to be support murder?" I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Like literally, dude. Like, there's an entire economy around hunting. When are you gonna try and like get rid of that? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's have an honest conversation. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
But you're fast approaching 100 episodes. Do you guys have a big plan for episode 100, or is it going to just be another day at the office?
I would love to say that we have a big plan. I will probably bring it up next time we meet. We always have a meeting on Sunday for our Patreon if we decide to do an episode on Sunday or Tuesday for recording. But yeah, I'll bring it up probably because we get so in the weeds sometimes with just like planning our own episodes, because there is a lot of like background you have to do to be able to produce an hour of content on a historical topic.
Oh yeah.
So we'll all kind of just like bury our heads in our topics a little bit. We kind of forget it's like, shit, man, like we're coming up on 100, and then in a couple months we'll be like, we're coming up on 2 years of doing this. Like, so like, for instance, the first time we ever did anything to celebrate, like even having an ounce of success was like a week ago.
Yeah. So, I got that. You went to Lonesome Dove.
Yeah.
Which I've never heard of, but I'm assuming is an incredibly nice place in Austin.
It's a very meat-centric restaurant. Yeah. So their whole thing is about like locally sourced, like just the best meat you've ever had in your life. But it's not just like cow and pork. It's like elk, and like they make like rattlesnake quail sausage and stuff like that. They're like a meat, like just whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
If there's an animal you can eat, they have it.
Yeah, pretty much. So like Dan got a 32-ounce like tomahawk ribeye and something like that. We just we have not treated ourselves once. Like we've been busting our asses, and we kind of had to take a step back. It was part of a bet too.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, man. No, it was nice to like at least take a second to at least look back and be like, damn, like we're making this work. That's a nice thing to feel, especially when you're with your friends, man. Like,
yeah, I know.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about doing a college football show and that being an oversaturated market. I mean, now just like podcasts are oversaturated.
In a way, yeah.
I mean, like I'm doing this, like I don't get the numbers on this show are not anything to write home about. I just love doing it, and I do it for the people that listen. And I have incredible interactions with not only like the people that come on the show, like you, but like the fans, like in the live chat, or I even get like DMs from people like, "Hey, I don't get in the live chat, but it's fun." Like I get, people interact on Instagram and shit about it. So to have any kind of modicum of monetary success from doing it, I mean, that puts you in a different bracket in the podcast world, right? Like even having like a sponsor, or even getting enough YouTube subscribers to get monetized on YouTube is an incredible thing. Like it's hard to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, man, it takes a lot of busting your ass, honestly. Like, I mean, I think we're all very fortunate that we started in a place that we've carried followers from too. We started with TFM, and some of those people have been like, I've met people that have followed me since like 2014 on Twitter, and it's so weird to think it's like, man, I was 23 years old. You've been following me for almost 10 years of my life on social media. That's nuts. But at the same time, there's nothing you can do but just be thankful and be gracious about it. Like, if you're not thankful for any opportunity you have where people are enjoying the content you make, like you're missing out, because those are the people. And another reason I love the Drinking Bros Network is the fans of the network are like, it's not just like they're a great like listener to have. It's they interact and they appreciate like when people interact back. So it's a nice environment for like really just like getting to know different people. And I tell you what, man, like some of the most like sincere and nice people I've met have been from the Drinking Bros audience. Like it's I'm not blowing smoke here because I'm on this podcast. Like I've definitely been in these interactions before. Like, I'll tell you what, TFM had a bunch of like rap bros who thought they were too cool to even exist or talk to me, but then they'd be like, yo man, like, follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a completely different mindset over here.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, it's cool. Fun. It's fun, definitely. That's exactly like what I was saying off air. I think it's just like that's why I even started this. It's just the fan base for everybody there is so awesome that like I was like we need a voice or like something fun we can do on our own. And I know you guys have given a couple shout outs to our girl Gigi.
Hell yeah.
And she's actually one of the, and I shout her out all the time. I love Gigi. We're actually pretty close friends at this point, but she's like one of the biggest inspirations for even starting this show because last summer I actually went to the Field of Dreams game with Ross.
Yeah.
And it's like 3.5 hours from my house. I had planned on like just sleeping on the floor in his hotel room that night. So like we got there like 7:30 in the morning. We're doing interviews, and then we went down to like the little town in Iowa, like having beers. Then we went to the game, drinking beers. The next thing you know, I get a phone call from my wife, like, "Hey, can you try to be back as early as possible in the morning? Because like I'm sick, both the kids are sick." So I'm like, "Fuck." So I was like, "You know what? Like I'm just gonna go." And about an hour into the drive, I was like, "Man, I maybe should not have been making this drive at 11 o'clock at night." And, so I ended up just reaching out to Nooners, like, "Hey, I'm driving. I know it's late. Like, here's my number. Call." And ended up like Gigi called out of the blue, and I ended up having like a conversation with her. It was so much fun.
That's awesome.
And the next morning, I was like, "Man, like there was so many fun people that I talked to that night, and just even before that, I was like, yeah, like the Nooners need to have a thing going on here." So that's the story behind that.
That's awesome.
I was going to ask, get off topic there, but I was going to ask you about, so you did the Lonesome Dove. I think it sounds like you recommend.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, there is this, I can recommend one plate of any plate in Austin, and it sounds like so basic, but it's a slider. It's like a simple slider. It's like this big. Mm-hmm. It is made with elk meat and foie gras.
Really?
And it's pressed into a burger, with like a blueberry compote. And I will nerd out on food on you. I know I'll do that. Like, but it's not gushy or anything like that. It's just like the ingredients all complement each other so well. It's mostly elk, you're flavoring it with the fat of the foie gras, but then you get that like nice acidity from the blueberry compote to just perfect blend. It's a dry slider with like just a simple like baked roll, kind of like a Hawaiian roll almost on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, I would pay $30 for a whole hamburger of that. Like a whole like quarter pound. We were talking about it's like where would you stop paying for like for the quarter pound like fully done burger of this? And we were all like probably like $30. It's divine, dude. Like it's the best plate there. But I got a bison ribeye, and that was also really
actually, we have a friend, and I'm in Des Moines, Iowa. We have a friend who owns like a 500-acre bison ranch just outside of town.
No way.
So I've had bison ribeyes. For Father's Day last year, my wife got me a bison brisket.
Oh, what?
Which even though I completely fucked it up, but it was still good.
Brisket's not an easy thing to do.
Well, but then I already knew because I've done a couple briskets on like my Traeger. And
okay.
I already knew that they were the Traeger. Honestly, like it's cheating, but what the fuck do I care? I'm just a dude trying to make some fucking.
Trying to eat good brisket.
The Traeger makes brisket a little easier.
Okay.
But when I got this bison brisket, I was like online for like hours. Like, how the fuck do I cook a bison brisket? Because bison's so lean.
Yeah.
So I just winged it, and it got a little dried, and then like fast forward like 6 months later, I saw something. I was like, oh yeah, if you're gonna do a bison brisket, like put bacon over top of it, so the bacon fat keeps it moist or something.
Insulation, keeping the moisture in. That makes sense.
Like, it's still good. It's still delicious, but Austin restaurants. I was looking on Joe Rogan's Instagram the other day. I was going to ask you about this. Have you heard of this sushi place he went to? I can't think of the name of it.
Called Otoko?
It might be. I went on their website.
Is it there's 4 or 5 spots?
Yeah, there's like 4 tables a night.
It's like 12 people can fit in there. Yeah, actually, so my wife took me there last year for my 30th birthday. I'm a huge sushi nut. Like I love anything.
Well, yeah, me and my wife, in-laws have the kids, and so typically I'm rushing to get this thing started because I gotta get the kids down. But
Yeah.
it was like 5:45, and I'm just like got everything set up. I was like, I'm gonna go pick up sushi. So we had sushi before we even came on. So
Yeah, man, I've been there though. Chef Yoshi, he's huge. He's like a top-rated sushi chef in the country. It's so it's such an enveloping experience because you go into this place and there's no windows. It's about the size of a small hallway, and there's just a sushi counter. If you're familiar with the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi, it's very similar to that, where it's omakase style. You're getting what the chef makes you.
right.
So it's about 25 individual pieces of sushi served immediately.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, he's creative. Like he does a lot of just like you'll get like probably about 15 to 18 pieces of just like solid sushi, like traditional. I got a bluefin tuna toro with like, just the simple rice, and then like real raw wasabi, just like a dot of it on top. Some of the best tuna I've ever had. But then like he has some shit that's just mind blowing. Like he did this thing with a deep fried, like flash fried fiddler crabs in like a wrap. It was just like, you look at it, it's just like little spiders erupting out of a seaweed wrap. But man, holy shit. Like it's some of the best food I've ever had in my life. Like shout out to my wife for looking that one. That we booked that out. We booked that in 2020.
Yeah.
So like in like the summer when like shit still wasn't even open out here. And we waited months, and we went in 2021. It was sick, dude.
Yeah, when he posted, I immediately went to their website and like, oh yeah, there's like, I think they had like it's by time, like every 10 minutes, but only for like an hour. Like they seat people, and they book out. I think now they're only booking out like the first of the month. They'll book out through like the end of the following month, kind of thing. And so I was like, next time in Austin, and I mean it's pricey. I mean, I think they looked at.
Yeah.
I think it's like they say it's around like $170 per person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, next time in Austin,
that's about that.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna round up some people, and we're gonna get a reservation and go do that.
Yeah, man, grab some folks, dude. I definitely recommend it. Get the sake pairing too. That's gonna bump it up a little bit, but like if you're willing to drop it was a 30th birthday. Like I'm not turning 30 again, so like we were like, let's just fuck it, let's do it.
Well, with modern science, you never know.
Hey man, I self-identify as 30 forever now, so I'm all for it.
I'm 34 and I'll be 25 forever. So
yeah, no, I'm just like continuously turning 21 plus right now. Yeah, I just turned 31 a couple days ago actually, but
happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Yeah, me and Dan are like a week apart, so we're both Tauruses. If you're subscribed to astrology,
I think I'm an Aquarius, so I'm February. Oh yeah.
One of my favorite things I ever heard, I was in line at a bar in Gainesville, and this girl asked me what my sign was. And I was like, I'm a Taurus, but I don't believe in that. She goes, it's so Taurus of you. I was like, fuck off. Get out of here. I hate that. That was a good one. It was a good comeback. Like, she knocked it right back. That was good.
Yeah, so, Gigi just entered the live chat. What's up, Gigi?
Oh, what's up, Gigi?
Love you. And then, Jessica's drooling over sake and sushi right now. Don't blame me. I'm gonna have to go order some more after this. But so one thing about sushi, man, you can never get enough of it.
Oh, dude. I mean, I could eat my weight in some raw fish, man. I'm all about it. What'd you get? What'd you get tonight?
So I got like we got two specialty rolls. One of them was they call it like a triple tuna. I can't even tell you what. I can't even fucking remember what's in it. I just don't have avocado, which I'm not a huge fan of avocado in sushi, but it is what it is. I'll take avocado over cucumber in sushi any day of the week, but
I feel that.
And then we got a yellowtail or some yellowtail sashimi, some red snapper sashimi, and then some sushi toro sashimi.
Nice, dude. Yeah, you gotta go for that toro if you get the
so it's sushi. It's salmon toro,
Oh, nice.
Tuna toro is the like sought after one, which
The
you
market
cannot.
price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always market price, and you can't get it here. My brother, who, funny enough, looks exactly like you, to the point where it's scary. When I posted today on my Instagram about you coming on, I had like family members like, "Who's this guy? He looks like just like your brother." And I was like, "Yeah, I get it." Like,
Dude, well, send me a pic. I'm
yeah,
curious to
I'll have
see.
to send you one offline, but
Yeah.
yeah. So he's like, "Oh, he's I mean a certified genius and has been in like college for his entire adult life, and now works
Yeah.
for like the State Department in DC. So like he goes to sushi places that like I could never dream of going to. But he's like, hey, dude, if you ever have toro, like order the toro. So I can never find it out here. And then actually, coincidentally, on my 30th birthday, we went out to Omaha, which I'm sure you've probably never been to Omaha, Nebraska. It's kind of like
Almost.
it's kind of like
Almost.
oh yeah, what like Little League World Series or something, College World
Yeah.
Series, yeah.
Yeah.
We actually stayed right across from their new stadium when we went, but it's kind of like Des Moines. If you know like where to go, it can be a fun place. And there's
Yeah.
a on their like Market Street, like the old district. There's a cigar bar that I really love going to, so I went there. And then the next day before we left, like, oh, let's go get sushi for lunch. And I saw they had toro on the menu.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, when available? I was like, is there toro available? And the guy's like, no, I sold out. I was like, damn it, like, really would have loved that, like, for my birthday. And the guy's like, oh, it's your birthday? And I was like, yeah. He's like, we have some toro available.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's
So
sick.
we ended up, I don't even know how much each order was, but I ordered like $200 worth of it.
Oh wow,
that's
that's
like, keep it coming, just keep it coming. And then we're driving back home, and it's so fatty though. Like about an hour afterwards, like holding my steering wheel in my truck, and I was like, my hands aren't working correctly right now. Like they're very spongy.
It's the one thing you can get like meat sweats from fish from in a weird way. It's the fact, I mean, and that's what makes it. It's like biting into butter, like little like this fish piece, right? But the salmon toro, actually, I'm glad you said that. Like I actually prefer salmon over tuna a lot of the time, just because like even with like your standard salmon piece, you're getting like a pretty, usually if it's sushi grade, it's good marbled fish, and it goes well with usually the house what do you call it, the house like rice sauce, because like every sushi has their own like little blend that they use to stick the rice together.
Like the unagi sauce or whatever it is. Yeah
exactly. So
typically as far as sashimi goes, if it's just straight fish, I'm a huge fan of red snapper. But I like pretty much all of it, and I'm not even like, so much so like I'm not a purist. Like I do enjoy eating like anything, like if there's like one of the places here in town does a really good like spicy tempura crab, and it's like, oh, that's fun. Like, well, it's like it's been fried. It's like, I'm like, I don't, and it's imitation crab. It's like, I don't care. It tastes good. Like, fuck it.
I'll tell you this, man. I have my particular ways with food. I'm pretty like, when I'm at a steakhouse, the highest I'm ordering is like medium rare or something like that. But I'm not the kind of person that's gonna be like, you order medium well at a steakhouse. It's like, dude, if you're paying the money, enjoy what you want to eat. Like, don't let anyone knock you down for wanting some delicious.
The only time I'll give somebody shit though is like, I'll have like my sister-in-law will come over for dinner, and I'll have like fillets going, and she's like, I want mine well done, and I'm like, I'll cook you a hamburger.
I mean, it's a fair well, especially with like a cut. And here I am gonna snob out. It's like, especially with a cut like filet, where it's better rarer. Like you're not rendering any fat really in a filet mignon, right? Like it's just a little bit.
A well done filet is like a piece of charcoal, bro. Like what are you doing?
Well, like with a ribeye, right? Like people are always like rare. It's like, well, you want that fat to render a little bit better, to get dispersed better through the meat, right? So like it's actually better to go a little bit more medium rare. And I know people that are like big time steak aficionados that'll order a ribeye depending on the cut medium.
Yeah.
And it sounds like sacrilege, but it's a great experience, man, if the person's cooking it right,
Yeah, I've got a coworker that we went out to Vegas for a trade show, and he ordered a steak blue, which I'd never heard of before. And I was like, dude, like, has that thing even seen heat?
my grandma is who. My grandma's like this a character. She's from Pennsylvania, up north a little bit, kind of like that old like Northeast type folk.
Yeah.
But she would tell a waiter, knock its horns off, wipe its ass, and walk it through a warmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
dude, I've seen her eat steaks and I'm like, that didn't touch a grill. What are you doing? Like, it's just red on the outside.
Yeah, they waved a hairdryer over that real quick, and
Yeah, no, man, I've ordered a steak blue one time, and it was just like it was a really nice like wagyu fillet. And I was
Yeah.
like, I want to kind of get after it. And it was a small piece. Like
Yeah.
I think it was like a 4 or 6 ounce fillet. It wasn't anything crazy. So I was definitely like trying to budget it a little bit, but yeah, but also like I couldn't take down like a 12-ounce blue steak. That's a lot of pretty much raw on your
that's
stuff.
a lot of raw meat. Like you're essentially just acting like a werewolf at that point, you know?
Yeah. You ever seen that guy that only eats raw meat?
Yeah. Doesn't he also like ferment it as well and
Yeah.
jars? Yeah.
I would think you would have to just so your body could digest it easier. Otherwise, that's a lot on your digestive tract.
Maybe.
But yeah, dude. If you ever get the chance, if you want to get adventurous, though, I always recommend people do this. Anytime you can get salmon roe sashimi,
Yeah.
beady eggs, dude.
Yep.
Are you into that?
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's like nature's omega-3 pill, man. But get a little soy sauce on that. It's good.
Love it. So before we move on from softcore history, 2 things about one of your co-hosts that I heard today as I was catching up on content I found hilarious. Rob claiming Lil Nas X is the new Outcast.
Oh, I ripped him for that.
And then also somehow anecdotally connecting Sharon Tate's baby as a Soviet like Cuban asset.
Yes, yeah, asset for for counter intelligence for the CIA to eliminate via Charles Manson, right?
So for listeners out there, I won't give any more away. I just thought those were 2 things that might pique your interest to go see go watch a couple of the latest episodes. One of them was on the Patreon, so definitely go subscribe to that and help Jake out because unemployed, he needs that $5. Go help him out. And then one of them I think was on the latest, just YouTube.
The RFK
audio, yeah.
Yeah, it was the RFK episode, which I had a lot of fun doing just because it's zany Kennedy assassination theories, like it from one family member to the next. It's always a thing, right?
Always one. Always loved the. Did you ever see the Mad TV sketch about like the Kennedy family, like home films?
Oh no, that sounds amazing though. So Mad TV might have been a little like I kind of caught the tail end of it.
Yeah, I can see that because I'm a couple years older than you, and I was like, it was coming down right when I was just getting to the point where I could appreciate it,
Yeah, I caught like the syndicated episodes on like TNN before football practice.
Yeah.
If that dates me at all. You remember TNN?
Yeah.
Before Spike? Yeah.
Before Spike, and is it still Spike, or they changed it again, or is it even still?
I don't know. It was like the Man channel for a while, I think, or something like that. But yeah, no, man. So all I remember from Mad TV is like, I'm gonna do a terrible impression. I'm not Rob Stewart. Yeah. Okay. I don't have. Thank you. Look. No. Yeah, like that. God, that.
But they had some sketch where it was like, just released home videos from the Kennedy family like holiday camcorder. It was like on some old reel. It was always like some Kennedy family member walking in like, here comes the Christmas presents. Like your head blown off and just falling over. It was like Easter, just same thing. It's like every like family gathering, it's like somebody's just getting shot in the back of the head.
Dude, it's if it's not a gunshot, it's a crashed plane or a lobotomy. That family, if you ever want to have a fun Wikipedia rabbit hole, just click anyone with the last name Kennedy and figure out how they died.
Maria Shriver is probably like the last living descendant at this point.
God,
right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. RFK Jr. would be. Yeah, that's probably the other one. There's a bunch floating around. They got a progeny out there, but
there's your next show, just tracking down what they're all doing. That's like a conspiracy in itself.
Probably. I was about to say that might be more con men than me.
Yeah. So and you also, before we get into what everybody came here for, which is the bread. I know you do a little, like, you do stand up as well.
I haven't done it in a minute. Really, since I've done it a couple times since everything started opening back up. I think I've done it twice since then. But yeah, for a stint of about 2 or 3 years, I was doing a lot of mics here in Austin. I did the funniest person in Austin competition in 2018. You can find it on YouTube if you want to, but I didn't do too hot personally. Like,
you weren't the funniest, I'm assuming.
I was not the funniest person in Austin that year. The guy who won was fantastic. He was Enzo Priestnitz, who buddy of mine works with. But yeah, like people have actually come out of there. Like Martha Kelly won it. Andrew Dismukes on SNL won FPI a couple years ago. So it's definitely like a good feeder for getting some extra work if you're into that sort of thing. So
yeah,
I kind of like, I want to go try it in front of 150 to 200 people and see how I do.
Yeah, and Austin's definitely seems to be like on the come up when it comes to stand-up comedy, right? You've got, I mean, Rogan, obviously, who's wherever Rogan goes, like, people are just going to follow, you know? So
yeah, absolutely.
The reason why I brought this up was actually last night, just thinking about this, knowing you were coming on and you did a little stand-up. Me and my wife tried to watch the new Cat Williams stand-up special.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen it?
I'm not a huge Cat Williams fan, man. So, like, I appreciate his jokes, but I haven't seen his new stuff. How was it?
About 12 minutes in, we turned it off and just watched reruns of Botched.
Okay.
It was not good. I don't know if just because Cat Williams, like, his first two like big specials that blew him up were like, I was right out of high school at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe I've just aged out of the humor, but this seems a lot different. Like, all he was doing was talking about like current political climate and COVID.
Yeah, sick.
I'm not a stand-up comedian, but even I'm like, I feel like this is just a really hacky thing to do.
It's the most hack move you can do, man. Unless you're saying a point that no one else is saying about that, for instance. Like, you got to be a fucking master to navigate that kind of stuff.
It was mainly just like pointing out like Trump's a dick on Twitter and Biden is an old man who has trouble thinking, and then how COVID sucks for everybody. I was like, yeah,
you're really holding everyone to the fire there, Cat.
Yeah, so it's like, like I looked over at my like 10 minutes and I looked over at my wife. She's like, "You're not liking this, are you?" I was like, "I'm waiting for a punchline somewhere that's going to be unique."
Yeah.
So
no, man, it's rough, dude. It's kind of insane. I call it like the Netflix effect almost. It's like there's so much stand-up comedy content that Netflix bought. I feel like they bought a lot of it sight unseen. So it's like, man, everyone's got a special now. This is insane. And it's there's people come back towards like Cat Williams, I guess. And you know, can't knock the guy. I mean, he's a highly successful, like, talented person at the end of the day. I mean, I've seen his first two specials. Like, I think everyone's seen those. They are not necessarily my cup of tea, but like, it's a performer at the end of the day. But it's like, kind of, it makes you think like, he just needs some extra coin. Like, what's up? Like,
he went tour. I mean, it was a big theater that he had sold out, but I wasn't impressed. But anyways, moving on from that, I will say we also did watch last night Christina P's new stand-up comedy special. I've seen her previous stand-up stuff and I wasn't really into it. I like her like on her podcast content and stuff with Tom. This one I found to be very funny.
I haven't seen the new one yet, so I'll have to check that out.
It's also very relatable because she just talks a lot about like parenting and what a shit show that is. So I can see some people, like, if you don't have kids, you might not really get it.
Man,
I found it funny. It was pretty funny, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm at the age now, like, I don't have kids yet, but I'm at the age where kid humor is also relatable because I have so many friends with children. Yeah. Now, kids are unavoidable in my life at this point. I mean, Rob and his wife.
Even if you never have any of your own, you're going to be surrounded by children so much that you're going to get like these things like fucking Christ. Like,
I get that like contact high of just kid chaos,
Yeah.
contact chaos, I guess. From
It's fucking chaos, dude. I've got 2 kids now moving into a bigger house in this market.
Dude, yeah. Prayers, bro. I pray for you.
Dude, it's been a nightmare. This wall, the foundation wall on this side of my house, does not exist right now because we had to rebuild it to sell our house.
Oh, damn.
Because it's like a 100-year-old house. And then getting we went with the contractor, not the lowest one, but the second lowest one. And that's been fun. But we won't get into that because we'll be here all night. But what we really want to talk about, though, as I don't know if you saw the title of today's show.
Dude, what was it? It was
Leavened.
Yes, that's so good. Yeah, I'm here to talk about bread, man. I will talk your ear off about it.
And actually, the original title I came up with was making that bread, and I was trying to find hashtags for the YouTube, and I was like, Livin' Leavened. Nope, that's a new title. So,
Leaven love.
I was like, Livin' Legend, Livin' Leavened, and then
Leaven,
whatever.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I like leaven puns more than dough or bread puns.
Yeah.
So it's the artisanal pun.
It's more unique, of course. You know?
Yes.
That's also why you got kicked out of the IDF, if I hear. You know.
Yeah. Oh man, they got so mad about that leavened bread. And if you don't get that joke, check out Softcore History.
I think it's they're just jealous about how delicious leavened bread is, and they're just not supposed to have it.
Yeah, it's like, listen, guys, we had to run away from one pharaoh. We can start leavening our bread again, you know?
Yeah. It's like most religions outside of Christianity liking pork, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, come on. Oh, the great Jewish dilemma, free bacon. But, you know, anyway. You haven't heard that?
Oh, it took me a second. I was like, what's free bacon? Oh, never mind. It took me a second to catch up on that one.
Yeah. No, we invented all the Jewish jokes, actually. That's the thing a lot of people don't realize is like most Jewish jokes are made by
Wasn't that like a Seinfeld bit on the show?
I'm sure, man.
Bryan Cranston, the dentist, like converts to Judaism for the jokes or something like that.
I could see that. I haven't watched Seinfeld in so long, man. I'm actually still catching up on Curb, which is a joy. But
in your real quick, in your unemployed solitude, you catch up on season 4 of Stranger Things.
I'm on episode, I think I have 40 minutes left on episode 4. After this, me and my wife are locking down and getting through a couple episodes. So I like it so far, man. I like it. It's dark.
After like the first episode was like interesting. After the second episode, I was like, this is dark but awesome.
I love that stuff, dude. I love dark sci-fi, dark fantasy. Like, I mean, I don't get into it a lot and we'll get to bread in a second, don't you worry. But like, I grew up kind of like, I don't know how I got into it. I got really into like darker films pretty early. Like, I just started watching like the one movie I wanted to see, I think when I was like 9 years old, was like, I was begging to see The Shining. Like I wanted to see The Shining so bad. So I got into like Kubrick and
I thought you were going to say like 8mm or something like that.
Oh God. No, I mean, love 8mm. The Cage movie about snuff film.
Yeah.
I love that flick.
That's a good.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Gandolfini's always a great piece of shit. We talked about Killing Them Softly actually on the pod. It was such a good movie, but yeah. And then like I got really into David Lynch and more just like weird macabre shit. So yeah, anytime like a show like Stranger Things where you have the camp of the 80s, but they can put a real dark undertone to it, it just kicks me right in the gut. I'm like, I'm gonna watch all of it as fast as I can. Yeah.
So we all been waiting.
Yeah.
How did you start making sourdough bread?
I know you know. The way any white dude in his 30s started making sourdough bread, man, like having nothing else to do in between work things during the pandemic, right? Like I was doing at the time, I know you got your shirt on, I was managing the customer experience department for the Chive. Yeah, KCCO, dude. Funny story, I had to break signing off my emails KCCO from all the emails I'd respond to customers with. Like I would instinctively sign off on my personal emails like that sometimes on accident because I was, you're grinding. Yeah. So, but like, things would come in waves and then I'd have like 2 hours of downtime, and I was at home. So I got a a starter from a local bakery here called Easy Tiger, which if you haven't been there yet, next time you come through, hit me up. We'll go grab some ridiculous bread. I'll make you some too. I tried to last time you were here and it sucked, so I didn't give it to you. I'm not going to give you a brick, but yeah, man. So I got their starter, just kind of started following the general recipe. It was kind of an easy, make some easy to deal with sourdough at home. And I got kind of hooked on just the process of it and have a hobby that would take me, essentially 72 hours to complete one time. And it was very process oriented. I consider myself pretty creative, but I love constraints and boundary and recipes and following. It's a deviation from the norm for me, where it's generally like a boundless, like whatever you can think you do kind of thing. Whereas creativity with food, especially baking, like with food, you can kind of zhuzh up anything how you want it. You can throw salt or garlic or anything on it.
Which is exactly why I enjoy cooking. I cannot stand baking, because like if I fuck up cooking, I can fix it.
Yeah.
You fuck up baking, like it's just you're fucked.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's a little chemistry project inside of the skin of a loaf, right? So I love cooking as well. I cook quite a bit here at home. So does my wife. We're very blessed to be from backgrounds of people that cook a lot. So we really enjoy it. But I just we got like this pastry box and like bread box one day from Easy Tiger. It's like, I want to make this shit. Like I see people making it, and I got hooked. I have a industrial strength bread stand mixer now in my kitchen. I have the one with like the higher horsepower, so it doesn't burn out from knotting just giant wads of sourdough.
It's not that normal KitchenAid. It's the big one.
No, it's that artisan. That I forget what it's even called. I don't know, but it's like it only comes in silver or black. It's like, we're not giving you fun colors. This is for work, But,
this is World War II tech, bro. This was driving tanks.
Yeah, dude. This was what was in the fighter pilots, man. So respect. But yeah, man. So obviously no one got mad about me making a fuck ton of delicious bread every.
Yeah. Oh, I love sourdough.
Yeah, dude. And that's kind of like the gold standard of like making really good bread, right? If you can knock a sourdough out right, which is a very finicky thing to do. Because like I've probably made between like 200 and 300 loaves at this point, and I would say I'm happy, like truly happy with like 20 of them, like 10% of the loaves I make. Everything else, and again, whether it's comedy or the podcast or anything like that, anytime creating something, you're your own worst critic. I have people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is brilliant. I'm like, well, the crumb could be a little bit more open, the dough could be a little bit more moisturized, right? And one that takes pride in what they do.
The sriracha couldn't have fucked up the whole thing.
And that's the thing. You asked me about a sriracha loaf, and I was like, yeah, I want to try that. And I kind of looked into it, and I didn't think about it. So with sourdough, one of the things you're doing is you're allowing the dough the starter is fermented.
Right.
But you move that starter into a larger conglomerate of totally raw flour and water, and you're letting it ferment all together. But so we're in Texas, in Austin, and it's a little bit more humid. So a lot of the recipes you see are from like old world kind of like proportions, where people are baking in Italy, and it's more arid and dry. And it's fairly dry here compared to where I'm from in Florida, but as far as like actual atmosphere, humidity and moisture, it's still very wet. So you have to be careful and like kind of taper down your water inclusion so that you're not getting like a really moist and runny dough. And I do that now. I lower the hydration percentage, but I wasn't thinking about it when I was adding the sriracha. The sriracha's liquid. Oh, yeah. So I had actually bumped the moisture up like really high. So I basically made like a flat, like instead of like a nice round loaf, it was like this. It was like a hockey puck. It still tasted all right, but like it's not something I'm gonna give to somebody.
Right. Wonder like could you take it and like bake it into like croutons, spicy sourdough croutons?
Basically what I do with any loaf I don't like is I'll cut it into like either thicker slices and then those for like like just something to dip in like a soup or
Right,
something
yeah.
like that. Or I'll cut it thin, do like a crostini, or I'll do a crouton. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that either, man. I just make the salads real good when I have
Yeah.
to do croutons. Yeah.
So your reasoning behind getting into bread making, like essentially it was either going to be making bread, brewing beer,
Yeah.
or woodworking.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably not woodworking, man. Every time my dad's the same way. He's worked with his hands his whole life, but he's covered in nicks and cuts and scars on his hand. Like I've almost cut off my fingers a couple times. So I'm very lucky to have all my digits, but yeah, I wasn't going to take that one on. So yeah, it was very much going to be something that I could consume because I'm bored drinking out of my mind as well. And I figured I might as well have something that can at least contribute to the dinner table every night in some form or fashion, and like make sandwiches and stuff. And it just turned into a real passion to just be able to make something from three simple ingredients. It's salt and flour and water, and that's it.
Yeah.
And to turn it into something more complex and get more into it. I mean, like I saw you actually posted two of my favorite loaves on the Instagram post, man. Like starting to even get into the scoring and how you like season the crust and things like that. It's just, I feel like such a dork and nerd when I talk about it. I was like, I don't care. I'm 31. I don't give a shit anymore. Like this is what I'm about. I want to make that. I want to make some good tasting food and like share it with my friends, man.
You're about making that bread, son.
I make that bread. People have talked to me about selling it before because I would bring it into the chive to like just give to people in the morning. Sometimes if I had extra loaves, people would be like, I would pay like $10 for this loaf of bread. I'm like, as soon as you're gonna tie money to this, and I have like an expectation,
then you get stressed.
Yeah. I'm like, man, because if I fuck up a loaf, I'm baking for somebody for money. I've done it one time. It turned out all right, but like it wasn't to my liking as much as I would have liked. I felt bad taking their money. It's like that's where I'm gonna start wavering.
Yeah, maybe one day you hit up like the farmer's market or something, selling your bread.
Yeah, man, that could be it too. Like I actually during this fun unemployment period, Easy Tiger does have a overnight baking job. They're like, you don't need prior commercial baking experience. Like if you have a passion for bread making. But then I saw what the pay was. I was like, no, thanks.
To stay up all night? No.
Yeah.
Nah, bro.
I'm good.
I'll be an overnight baker at Dunkin's or Voodoo's.
Yeah, the fried right. Oh, Voodoo's legit. Yeah, I love me some Voodoo.
Yeah, we went in there. Me and Holly D, one of the listeners, went in there. And last time we were in Austin one morning, and donuts are dope. It was full of homeless people though.
Oh yeah, it's on 6th.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
They have an armed guard out front of there now.
Yeah, I've heard. Like at night, like.
No, in the day, dude.
Really?
I was running the after party space for Moon Tower Comedy Festival before I was no longer there, and so I'd have to go get like a couple rounds of donuts, like not rounds, we call it, a couple dozens of donuts.
Yeah.
Pick them up like put them in the fridge for the later that night. But I'd go there at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There'd be like dude with a gun, like just chilling, like I don't know if it was like bulletproof vest or not, but he was like tacked up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah.
I mean, they are good donuts. They need to be protected. They
are good. Yeah. They have a maple bar there where it's like a maple glaze with a piece of candied bacon on top.
You're making me hungry. I'm going to have to go fucking order some more food now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
We can talk endlessly. We'll have to definitely get you back on again here soon. But thanks for joining us, man. We're going to wrap this up.
Okay.
Everybody knows, everybody listening already knows, but I got to say it every time. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Go find Nooner Nation podcast on iTunes and Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Like and subscribe there. On iTunes, 5-star review. Leave a quick little review. Even my big thing is, even you want to say I sound like Tiger Woods with a sinus infection, just leave that. I don't care. Just write something.
Nice. Yeah.
And now you can review on Spotify now. So go do that as well. Yeah.
That's how out of touch I am with the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm ahead.
And also, I do have a sponsor. So go check out repcps.com. I don't know. Are you familiar with them, Jake?
I'm not actually. What are they?
So CPS is a college peep show.
Okay.
I bet you are familiar with them. Have you ever seen a hat that has a big patch on it that says "Show me that butthole"?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
I
that's
have seen.
them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's them.
Okay.
So, like, I've got one here, kind of off screen, but like they sent me this beanie, free hugs and butt plugs.
Oh my god.
Look at my hat I'm wearing right now. Skinny dips and bong rips.
That's actually hilarious. I
Yeah.
might go pick
So,
that one.
yep, go to repcps.com, use promo code Nooners, you get 10% off. You're helping. I've had the owner on the show before, really cool guy, Midwest guy who just happened to think it'd be funny to say, "Show me that butthole" on a hat, and now he's got an entire business about it. So,
Nice, dude.
dope dude. Go help him out, help out the show. Moving soon. I've actually got, because everybody's been buying so many of these hats with my promo code, I'm actually got some plans to build a pretty cool set in the new house. So
Well, yeah.
that's going to help out. Even though mine's already pretty cool. I've got, I don't know if you noticed, I've got like all the Nickelodeon characters.
The good ones.
And
Love
then,
me some.
Heat. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Heat.
Yeah, dude, for sure. One of the greatest gunfight heist scenes ever.
I think last I knew, like the FBI actually used that scene as like a training tool because it was so realistic on what like actually trained bank robbers would be like coming out of a bank.
Yeah, just like, especially if they know what they're doing and
Yeah.
like actual use of cover fire in that situation, stuff like that. It's if you haven't seen Heat, please go watch Heat. It's long, but it's worth it.
Oh, and also I actually brought this up on Drinking Bros yesterday in their live chat, and they shouted it out. Maybe one of the greatest casts ever assembled.
Oh, dude, for sure.
Somebody
Yeah.
brought up, I think maybe even Rob or Giorgio said Ocean's 11. Good cast, but that cast was cast off of sex appeal. And I love Ocean's 11. Not
Oh, me
knocking
too.
it. But man, you got De Niro, Pacino, Kilmer, Ashley Judd, John Voight, a whole bunch, like a whole handful of like that guys, you know?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of character actors, but
Tom
yeah.
Sizemore, Dave Trejo.
God, I need to rewatch Heat. I haven't seen Heat in years. I'm gonna have to watch that again. Honestly,
It's my airplane. It's my go-to airplane movie. I have it like downloaded on my phone whenever I'm on a phone. Whenever I'm on an airplane, watching Heat.
That's
I used to watch like 13 Hours or American Sniper a lot. And I was like, I noticed I always got sat down next to somebody that I was kind of uncomfortable watching that beside. So like, no, but everybody loves Heat. So
yeah.
But yeah, before you get off of here, man, plug all your stuff. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can obviously check out Softcore History if you haven't. That's on Spotify, anywhere you can find podcasts. We have a YouTube channel as well if you want to like watch along with the episodes. Yeah, I mean that's the big thing I want to plug. You can go to softcorehistory.com. We have some merch as well if you want to check that out. But
Dope merch, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man.
I
Yeah,
love
Dan
the Topsy the Elephant shirt.
Dan got that one all taken care of.
And
That
then
was
Too Irish to Die.
also, yeah. Mike Malloy, check out that episode. Actually, if I could tell anyone to start with an episode, it would be Mike Malloy, the Unkillable Irish Hobo episode.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good kind of like just total episode of ours where we're riffing really hard and it's a perfect topic of just an insane person. Or actually Rob's most recent episode on Terrahan.
Terrahan Clete or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the earliest civilizations.
Yeah, I think I even posted that. I was like, this is like the most metal history. Like,
yeah, it's intense.
Insane.
Yeah, but yeah, check that out, and you can find me anywhere at Jake W. Goldman across all social media. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, dude. This has been a really fun time, and I can't thank y'all enough for doing this. And y'all are, man, you're doing awesome stuff here.
Awesome, thanks, man. And also, don't forget, you have a Patreon. So if you like, if you haven't listened to Softcore yet, and you go listen to it, and you like or if you already are listening, the content on your Patreon is well worth the $5 a month. It's hilarious. The game show you talk about is hilarious. The songs are great.
Yeah, we're doing another one in like I think 2 weeks, so we'll have another one coming up soon.
Nice.
Yeah, we always got to get the times down and keep enough distance between them for us to recuperate. We drink a lot, so yeah.
So do I.
But,
yeah. This came up in the live. Well, we'll give some shout outs for the live chat because we've been gabbing. We haven't interacted with the live people, but real quick, our girl Gigi, saying Nooners are better than the Royals. I would agree with that. I'm an Anglo-American, as is Gigi, so we like to talk shit about the Empire all the time.
Oh, good.
Either for or against, depending on the situation.
Sure, you gotta ride that fence,
we talk about like Russia. If Russia had been part of the Empire, they wouldn't be acting this way.
Totally.
But also, Reed White brings up a point. I'm not sure if you're aware, but here on the Nooner Nation, and Nooners everywhere, ranch is referred to as eagle's milk.
That's awesome.
But Reed White says ranch is for kids. Are you a ranch or blue cheese dude?
Oh, if I had to pick, I'm going blue cheese all day.
Even after now it's stuck in your head that ranch is eagle's milk?
I'm gonna use that forever, but yeah, if I got some buffalo wings in front of me, man, I'm going blue all day. I like curly fries and blue cheese too.
God damn it. Actually, I was just in Erie, Pennsylvania for work, and a Nooner, Matt, who's a American Rustic, works in the live chat. He lives in Buffalo, and he drove down. We had dinner one night, and we had a bunch of drinks, and he ended up staying in the hotel and stuff. But I knew since he was Buffalo, just to piss him off, we went out to dinner and I ordered boneless wings with ranch.
Yeah, some chicken nuggets with dipping sauce, basically.
I know what they are. They're fancy nuggets, but whatever.
To each their own. Well,
dude, thanks again for coming on. It's been a blast. Yeah. We'll definitely have to get you back on. Maybe when you start, Livin, Leavened, your bakery shop in Austin.
There we go. Yeah, if I start it, I'll give you the nod if I use the name.
Livin, Leavened. Yeah, it'd work. I think it could work.
Yeah, man. Thank you again for having me. It's been a pleasure, dude.
Cool.
Really appreciate it.
And someone just popped up in front of my little button to kill the podcast. But there we go. Oh, but again, self-produced. I don't have a Giorgio to fix these things. But anyways, again, go check out Nooner Nation everywhere. Like and subscribe. Go find Softcore History. Like and subscribe. It's been a fun night. Jake, thanks again.